what we just witnessed, I think is quite unprecedented. 170 when New Zealand stopped South Africa, 270 despite the Marco Jansen heroics. A lot of people thought at least there'd be a fight, especially with the South African bowling attack, which has been stellar right through this tournament. I mean, Lungi Ngidi, Kagiso Rabada, Marco Jansen, Corbin Bosch. But thereafter, what we witnessed there from New Zealand, from Tim Seifert and Finn Allen, was complete annihilation of South Africa. One of the best sides of the tournament being knocked off, like as if they're a club side, like not even Mohammedan Sporting Club in Kolkata, just opposite the Eden Gardens. Any side which has witnessed this onslaught from New Zealand will know how good this team is in ICC tournaments. Imagine the effort at the start with the ball, getting South Africa half done for 80. Yes, there was a comeback with Tristan Stubbs and Marco Jansen, but anybody who has watched the India West Indies in Calcutta will know that 170 chase or 175 chase under lights with dew is nothing much, especially for a good batting attack. Small ground, Eden Gardens, 65-meter boundaries. Even a miss hit will go for a six. It was not a target that was really a match-winning one, but I would still say it was not a target that was not. South Africa could have made a match of it for sure, but then Finn Allen, boy, oh boy, Tim Seifert, and no one stopped. At no point in time did South Africa even get a bit of a breather. Corbin Bosch comes in to bowl six and then four, 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 four. How is that? This is some statement from New Zealand in making this final. And South Africa, yet again, a tournament where they have done extremely well right through. You have to think this. The choke came, especially when you needed one big game to make Ahmedabad. The choke came that it was like a takedown. If any one of you have seen Sultan and seen Salman Khan, you will know what I'm talking about. It was the perfect takedown. New Zealand literally choked South Africa and nailed it. Nailed it, New Zealand. South Africa, after the final in 2024, once again going out in the semi final this year, this has been some effort from New Zealand. Mitchell Santner will be absolutely over the moon with this kind of effort. In Kolkata, I'll take some questions. Already a lot of questions have come as well. But the more you think of that batting effort, it'll scare you. If India watched it, if I don't know, if the Indians are following it, I'm sure they are. If India was watching it or England is watching it, Eden Markram's side, they did not understand what hit them. It was it was like a cyclone coming. I mean, the barrage of fours and sixes that all of a sudden came from Finn Allen and Tim Seifert. Think of the mental state of a team. That's what is more important. This is a World Cup semi-final, for God's sake. Think of the mental state of a team that you are able to do it against a quality bowling attack like South Africa. How good is New Zealand mentally? How strong is New Zealand mentally? How much did they want to belong there? You must ask these questions of yourself. How good are these batters in the mind? How much, in an ICC tournament, how New Zealand keeps punching above their weight time and again, time and again. That's the beauty of this New Zealand side. Think of the World Test Championship. They win the inaugural edition. Think of multiple other white ball tournaments. New Zealand always been there, been there, been there. What a team. What a team. I have to say, I predicted, I'm actually at a friend's house in Mumbai, a very, very dear friend's house in Mumbai, and we were watching together. And I said New Zealand will win at halfway stage. And I thought New Zealand had an 80-20 edge. But never did I imagine that the match will be over in 12 overs. Nobody imagined that. Which mad person could have imagined that the game would be over in 12 overs? How can it be? This is a World Cup semi-final. This is a high pressure game, and pressure is privilege. I keep saying this all the time. Pressure is privilege. You want to be there. You soaked it in. Today, these New Zealand guys proved why pressure is privilege, why playing a World Cup is the greatest thing for a cricketer, why embracing the moment, why soaking in the atmosphere, why you would want to be there and become the hero. New Zealand in Ahmedabad. What a team, what an effort, what a performance. Let's now decode this game. In decoding this game, one has to say two things for the start. I thought South Africa, 170 never going to be enough. Poor batting effort from the top order. Right through the tournament, they have come good, but they failed when it mattered. Marco Jansen was excellent, especially against towards the latter part of the innings. Lockie Ferguson bowled some length balls, and Marco Jansen used his long reach to the pitch of the ball, three-quarter length, and then full. He dispatched him to all parts of the park. Had it not been for Marco Jansen's outstanding 50, South Africa would have scored 150, 170, 160. But frankly, even if it was about 190, it wouldn't be enough in front of that New Zealand onslaught. So, except a Tristan Stubbs who gave him reasonable support, Marco Jansen was the only bright spark in that South African innings. And then towards the end, I thought there was some lack of application as well. Corbin Bosch, Kagiso Rabada coming, getting out in one ball when Marco Jansen was at the other end. You can't do that. You just give the strike to the batter who has scored so many of those runs. You just give it to him, and that score could have been 180. That score could have been 180, and you must understand basic cricket. You cannot make elementary mistakes as South Africa did today. But with the ball you ought to have done something to upset New Zealand. When the first over, Tim Seifert, for example, when that catch went up, I thought the real turning point was the catch that went up the moment Kagiso Rabada came into bowl. Quinton de Kock started sprinting towards fine leg when Dewald Brevis, who was actually fielding at fine leg, could have just come forward. It is always more difficult to run back than run forward. That was a real error in judgment on the part of Quinton de Kock, Dewald Brevis, and the South African side. Because of that dropped catch, automatically that could have changed momentum. Tim Seifert was going for every ball and got a 50, nailed the game. Had that catch been taken, things could have been different for South Africa. But this is all conjecture and in hindsight. The approach was refreshing. They did not allow South Africa to settle. Imagine Lungi Ngidi. Right through the World Cup, Ngidi has taken teams out with his slower balls. How many did he bowl today? If you watch the game closely, Ngidi was bowling outside off and they were playing him square, behind point and cover. Easy pickings. And they were hitting him wide of mid-on. Wide and taking that gap between mid-wicket and mid-on and hitting them for boundaries. And the straight boundary towards the clubhouse side was easy pickings for the New Zealand batters. Finn Allen, what a talent. What a talent. Rachin Ravindra, who's doing some host broadcaster interviews. I met Rachin Ravindra, I told you all. I met Rachin and Daryl Mitchell at the ITC Shonar, which is where the New Zealand team is put up, by the way. I was there for a conclave meeting and I met them. And they looked completely relaxed. That is another team, that is another thing about this New Zealand side. They are not one of those teams that is unnecessarily stressed. They are not one of those sides that will think about unnecessary distractions. They are not one of those sides where the pressure is humongous. They are one of those sides, simple as that. They are one of those sides which will want to be there and do the job and move on. A fantastic effort from New Zealand. And now the focus shifts to tomorrow. So everybody now knows it's New Zealand. Who does New Zealand play in that final? Will it be India? Will it be England? I'm at Mumbai. I landed at 4, went straight to the Wankhede. And the usual people were there, fans queuing up for tickets. My friend Raghav tells me there is demand and serious demand. But I got another feedback saying maybe not as much compared to the 2023 World Cup. Is it because Rohit and Virat not there? There are serious takers for tickets still, and it will be an absolute sellout. Make no mistake about it. Ajinkya Nayak, in an interview to me, which will be aired tomorrow, says that they are doing a number of things for fan engagement. For example, water will be provided free. I was totally taken aback when the temperature was announced at the flight as 38 degrees centigrade in Mumbai. 38 degrees centigrade. Boy. In fact, the heat was serious. So the MCA is giving water for free, which is important for spectators. They have employed hotel cleaning companies to make sure that the washrooms and the toilets are kept clean, especially for the women who will be attending. So minor details are being looked into, which is important in Indian stadiums and generally not done. So there is the perfect build-up. There are a lot of attractions, the Sachin Tendulkar statue, etc. The new gates, the Rohit Sharma gate, the Diana Edelji, Sharad Pawar, all of these gates and stands, which will make the Wankhede that much more interesting and attractive tomorrow. Coming to the game, two people will we will do lots of shows tomorrow in part of the build up. I'll finish this in a couple of minutes because, as I said, I'm at a friend's place for dinner. uh, Two things for me stand out. One, 2011 World Cup, Gautam Gambhir was there. His 97 made sure that India won. It was his 97 that was the pivotal innings along with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So Gautam Gambhir will know that it is not a solo act. It is about these collective contributions which helps a team win. Second, Surya Kumar Yadav was there in that catch in the Caribbean, and now it is him as captain. He doesn't play any other format. This is his legacy format, perhaps the last major tournament that he is captaining India. Can he script legacy? If you ask me, I would say India are favorites. I would say India are the team to beat tomorrow. India should go through and make the final in Ahmedabad. And I will say this for two reasons. One, if you look at this Indian side and I compare the bowling attacks, if you guys have watched my show ahead of the West Indies game, you will know I had said this. When I compare the England bowling with the Indian bowling, I think the Indian bowling is better. When I take a Jofra Archer, I balance him out with a Jasprit Bumrah. So you can eliminate both. I understand Bumrah and Archer can take each other out. When I take an Adil Rashid, I will say Varun Chakravarti and you can remove both. But then, what are the other bowlers? When I see a Jacob Bethel, I see a Will Jacks, I see a Jamie Overton, as Sam Curran. I think Hardik Pandya, Akshar Patel, Arshdeep Singh are certainly better. That's where I think India has a major edge with the ball against New Zealand. Sorry, against England. And the other thing here, Wankhede is a relatively small ground. Against the pace of Jofra Archer, and Jofra wants to use the short ball as well, even a top hit or a top edge will go for six, whether it's fine leg or third man or even straight. It will go for six in these relatively shorter boundaries. So when I think of India v England, I will analyze in much more detail tomorrow morning. But let me end this saying India wouldn't mind playing New Zealand in Ahmedabad. Much better than facing South Africa and the hit the deck bowlers. Ahmedabad suits Rabada, suits Engidi, suits Marco Jansen. Now that New Zealand has made that final, if India does make the final tomorrow, I will put my money on India to defend this title. India wouldn't mind New Zealand, is what I can tell you. This super chat, did South Africa choke? Boss, choke happens when it's close. This match wasn't even close. Sarvesh Gaurav, choke happens when it becomes close. South Africa did not even come close. New Zealand gave them no chance. So where is the chance of choke? I thought it was a one-sided encounter where New Zealand just smashed their way home. But I think I'll end the show on this note. I would say England are a very good side, but India are better. I would put my money on India for tomorrow. I think it's an India versus New Zealand final in Ahmedabad on my birthday on the 8th of March. I would end on that note. India v New Zealand final, according to me, on the 8th of March. We will be back tomorrow morning. Plenty of lives, multiple exclusives. Ajinkya Nayak on the Wankhede facilities. R. Sridhar, why India is dropping catches? What is going wrong with an Abhishek Sharma? What does India need to do to make sure that catches do not lose this match? R. Sridhar, former India fielding coach. A lot of exclusives coming your way. For the moment, all we can say is New Zealand has completely stunned us all with that effort. An absolutely stunning performance at the Eden Gardens in Calcutta. Mitchell Santner's team in the World Cup final, and deservingly so. And South Africa, after a fabulous effort in winning everything and going into the semi-final, are now knocked out. This is what happens if you peak a tad too early, which is what happened with South Africa. I'll end the show on that note. Congratulations, New Zealand. Who are you facing? My money is on India. India-New Zealand final, according to me, on the 8th of March.